The golden couple of Hollywood, Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor, were recognized for their brilliance and dedication to one another through the years. Nevertheless, their love story took an unexpected and shocking turn behind the scenes. The affair not only brought an end to their marriage, but it also broke their hearts and altered their lives in an irrevocable way, even making Barbara wealthier than she had ever been before. What led to the dissolution of such a wonderful union? Moreover, what was the next step for the legendary actress? Be sure to stay tuned for the riveting information to be revealed. Together, Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor established themselves as a new power couple in the world of Hollywood. When Barbara Stanwyck's friend Zeppo Marx and his wife Marion attempted to set her up on a blind date in 1936, she proceeded with caution against the gesture. She had recently divorced her husband, who had been a horrific experience for her, and she was delighted to live on her ranch with her adopted son, Tony. She made the decision to go nonetheless. The sparks that sparked between them during their first encounter would soon be fanned by the time that they worked together on the film, which was titled His Brother's Wife. At that location, she ran across the dashing Robert Taylor. As the most recent addition to MGM's roster of assets, he was 4 years younger than she was. While he was just starting out in Hollywood, Barbara was already a well-known actress, having appeared in films such as Night Nurse and Babyface. However, it found out that they shared a lot of similarities. They both had a strong dislike for pretentiousness, a deep appreciation for nature, and a conservative political outlook. The two individuals went on to become friends, and their friendship quickly developed into a cozy romantic relationship. Robert even purchased a property that was located just next to Barbara's. Robert's maturing Hollywood career was aided by Barbara's guidance and assistance. With Barbara's assistance, the actor was able to add additional depth to his career, which brought him the reputation of being the man with the perfect profile. Having a high regard for her, he put his faith in her advice. While this was going on, he was a traditional gentleman who was well versed in the art of treating a woman with respect. This was something that Barbara yearned for after her marriage that was abusive. They both desired a life outside of Tinseltown that was free of pretense and stability, and they discovered that they could find it in each other. If Barbara and Robert had continued to live in their neighboring ranches, they would have been quite content to maintain their relationship in its current situation. But in 1939, an article with the title, Photoplay magazine was published. There was a show called Hollywood's Unmarried Husbands and Wives that was about couples in Hollywood who were basically living together as if they were married, but they did not have a marriage certificate. At the time, this would not have been considered appropriate behavior, but in 1939 it was not. Therefore, their studio, MGM, arranged for the couple to get married, and they grudgingly agreed to the arrangement. As a result of Barbara's catastrophic previous marriage attempt, Robert took marriage very seriously, while Barbara was cautious about getting married. They made the decision to go ahead with it and put in a significant amount of effort in order to make it work. The two individuals, Barbara and Robert, had a profound enthusiasm for their respective professions and generously supported one another in their efforts to advance and achieve success. Ruby Stevens, who would later become known as Barbara Stanwyck, made the journey from Broadway to Hollywood in the late 1920s, which marked the beginning of her remarkable career in film. In 1926, Stanwyck made her debut on Broadway as a cabaret dancer in the production of The Noose. Almost immediately, she became the focus of the attention of industry critics. Through her early experiences as a chorus girl, she was able to acquire the abilities that were necessary for her to succeed in the highly competitive business of entertainment. In 1927, she made her debut in the film Broadway Nights. However, it wasn't until she persuaded the renowned director Frank Capra to cast her in Ladies of Leisure that her career began to take off, showing her exceptional talent as well as her powerful personality. The breakthrough performance that Stanwyck gave in Ladies of Leisure demonstrated her capacity to depict women who were both sophisticated and autonomous. This performance laid the groundwork for a string of other notable performances during the 1930s and beyond. After signing a contract with Columbia Pictures, she went on to star in a number of films that were commercially successful, such as Illicit and Night Nurse, among others. She established herself as a formidable actor who was capable of embodying characters with depth and integrity via the roles she played in her early career. Stanwyck established herself as one of the leading actresses of her period by unwaveringly devoting herself to her art. As a result, she paved the way for subsequent generations of women to pursue careers in film. Barbara Stanwyck was a legendary figure in the world of film and television. Her cinematic career progressed to the point where she eventually made the switch to the tiny screen. In the early 1950s, Stanwyck had her first appearance on television, which was on the Jack Benny program. She immediately established herself as a prominent figure in this rapidly developing medium. It was via her participation in a number of dramatic performances, such as those at the Goodyear Theater and the Zane Grey Theater, that she demonstrated her versatility and her capacity to enthrall audiences in so many different roles. In the hit television series The Big Valley, which ran from 1965 to 1969, she played a role that is considered to be among the most significant of her career. Within the context of this Western drama, Stanwyck played the role of Victoria Barclay, the matriarch of a prosperous ranching family. As a result of her performance, she received praise from the media and cemented her position in the annals of television history. It was a contract with a major studio that marked the beginning of Robert Taylor's rise to prominence in Hollywood. The increasing popularity of his films at the box office, the spectacular debuts he has had in films, and the romantic lead parts he has played. Taylor made a move that would prove to be crucial in the beginning of his career in the film industry when he signed a contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1934. The indelible impression that Taylor's portrayal of heroic individuals in historical contexts frequently left on the genre is impossible to erase. In the film adaptation of Sir Walter Scott's novel Ivanhoe, in which he played the role of the great knight Sir Wilfrid of Ivanhoe, he enthralled spectators with his performance. He also made a significant contribution to the film Quo Vadis, in which he played the role of Marcus Vinicius, a Roman soldier, and provided a performance that will be remembered alongside Deborah Kerr and Peter Ustinov. The parts that Taylor played in films in the genres of war and action demonstrated his versatility. He was included in the film Baton, playing the role of Sergeant Bill Dane, which was a tragic story about troops during the Second World War. The film featured a diverse ensemble. This performance further highlighted his passion for action-packed roles and his ability to carry a picture through intense physical and dramatic passages. His performance in The Last Hunt was a demonstration of both of these abilities. The 1950s were a time when the golden age of Hollywood cinema was beginning to come to an end. Television, a medium that was gaining popularity among American viewers, was something that Robert Taylor enthusiastically embraced. Over the course of his career in television, Robert Taylor also made appearances in a number of different anthology shows. Among these were appearances on television shows such as Death Valley Days, in which he not only acted in but also hosted a number of episodes, demonstrating his flexibility as a performer. As a pair, Barbara and Robert were cherished by everyone. Their mutual interest served as a source of motivation for a great number of people, yet nobody could have foreseen that an affair would result in the dissolution of their marriage, a turn of events that even they did not anticipate. Despite the fact that she was now joined by her husband, Barbara continued to be one of the most famous stars in Hollywood. They were able to capitalize on the fact that the press adored this newly formed power couple and exploit it to their advantage. However, despite the fact that this was beneficial to their jobs, it altered the nature of their relationship. As Robert's career progressed, he found that he needed Barbara's assistance less frequently than he had in the past. Her frustration stemmed from the fact that he was becoming increasingly independent, and she would berate and criticize him in front of friends and at parties. A romantic relationship between Robert and his co-star and Johnny Eager, Lana Turner, began in 1941. There are rumors that Barbara was so upset that she attempted to take her own life before she died. 1943 was the year. At the beginning of the war, Robert enlisted in the Navy. During this time period, the two individuals did not spend much time together, despite the fact that they were both enthusiastic letter writers. The time they spent apart only served to make their difficulties worse. Robert wanted to fly his plane and go fishing or hunting with his buddies when he returned, but Barbara wanted all of his time and attention. Barbara wanted to be the center of attention with Robert. In the past, Robert had a strong aversion to confrontation, and he would avoid these arguments if possible. He was no longer in need of a guide or leader, despite the fact that Barbara did not want him to be around. At this time, it was common knowledge that John was having extramarital affairs, and Barbara began to hunt for intimacy in other places as well. It was rumored that Robert made several requests for a divorce, but she would become so distraught that he would not grant them. In the year 1949, Robert began filming Quavades in the country of Italy. In this location, he engaged in a highly publicized affair with the Italian actress Leo Di Leo. Barbara flew over to confront him and ask for a divorce, which caused her to get enraged. Some people believe that she did it as a threat, and she was surprised when he consented to it. It is generally believed that this was a subterfuge to keep him a part of their lives, rather than a genuine desire to go their separate ways. In any event, much to her utter dismay, he agreed to it. Stanwyck remained in Italy for a period of 6 weeks, during which time they reportedly discussed aspects of their future together. The divorce between Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor took place on February 21, 1951. A year later, the divorce was finalized. The settlement stipulated that she would receive 15% of his gross wages until the time that she either married or passed away. Nobody anticipated that he would be the first to pass away. In spite of everything that happened, the two continued to be friends, and Stanwyck never remarried. She was quite conscientious about collecting her money, and according to some reports, attempted to obtain additional information from Taylor's estate. However, she never wavered in her assertion that he was the one and only love of her life. Eventually, she was forced to come to terms with the fact that their marriage had reached its end. In order to discuss the conditions of the divorce with Robert, she remained in Italy for a period of 6 weeks. The divorce was finalized in 1951, after they had been married for a total of 12 years. Barbara's first marriage to Frank Fay took place between the years 1928 and 1935. At the time that she was married to her second husband, Robert Taylor, from 1939 until the time that they divorced in 1952. Stanwyck was philosophical, while she was having a conversation with the New York Times in 1981 about her connection with Taylor, despite the fact that both of her marriages ended in a sad manner. She stated that it is difficult to lose someone you love, whether it be by death or divorce. There is nothing to fight for if they change their minds and decide that they want to be free. You are required to let go. Barbara Stanwyck's statements represented the great anguish that she was going through as a result of the divorce, which was a highly painful experience for her. After that, she went through something that was very devastating to hear about: bewilderment and a sense of the bitter. The months that followed Barbara Stanwyck's divorce from Robert Taylor were marked by these feelings, which were the defining characteristics of her existence. But she had washed off the bitterness, and after looking back, she came to understand. She stated that at first I was only able to think about myself, my pain, my ego, and my problem. On the other hand, I eventually came to the realization that I was not at all exceptional. Despite the fact that she became the highest paid actress in Hollywood thanks to her roles in great films like Stella Dallas, The Lady Eve, and Double Indemnity, Barbara, who was given the nickname the Queen due to her authoritative demeanor, suffered a great deal of emotional distress, most of the time at the hands of the guys. Due to the fact that her father had abandoned her when she was a child, she had an awful first marriage before finally finding a better life with Robert. Although it crushed her heart, the fact that they had to break their marriage after 12 years demonstrated that the star of the television show The Big Valley will always be a survivor. The news of their divorce caused Barbara a great deal of distress. After going their own ways, the two individuals continued to have a close relationship. It is even believed that they continued to have a close relationship. The marriage of Robert to Ursula Theis in 1954 brought about this shift. They would go on to have 2 children together, and Ursula and Robert would continue to stay together until Robert's passing. However, Robert never failed to express his affection for his ex-wife Barbara, and he subsequently stated, "I have a great deal of respect for her and I treasure our friendship." Throughout the years, they had fewer and fewer conversations with one another. In 1964, however, Barbara and Robert appeared in the film The Night Walker together, which was a film that they both found to be quite enjoyable. In the event that Robert fell ill with lung cancer and his condition was deteriorating, his wife extended an invitation to Barbara to visit him at the hospital. Their connection was so strong. Barbara's heart sank when she learned that Robert had departed away. In memory of the legendary actor Robert Taylor, the funeral was held in the Forest Lawn Church of the Recessional in Glendale, California, in 1969 on the occasion of his passing from lung cancer at the age of 57.